for the next Lauren, somebody's coming up that's going to be in your shoes one day, what would you say to them as far as getting into this industry? What's one of your top tips, or 2, 3? Because I know it's more than one. You can't just narrow it down to one. Maybe like 3 to 5 tips for the next year.
Okay, that's easier because you said
yeah,
one tip.
I was about to take you through it.
Okay, so I would say the first one is I know this can go with anybody's industry, but for me personally, I've had to separate my success from other people's success, and I've also had to step away from social media for a little bit, because not for the fact of me getting distracted, but when it comes to me as a creative, I was looking at other people's creations to try and inspire me, and I'm not them. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. Like, you have to make sure that you're getting your inspiration from you, because if you keep looking at other people, you're just going to make imitations of what they've already created. Gotcha. So sometimes I have to separate myself from people, from Instagram, from Twitter, whatever, YouTube. I'm a YouTube person. Just so I can make sure that I'm being honest with the stories that I want to tell or what I want to create.
What's good, y'all? This is Real with That's a Plug, and I have the pleasure of sitting down with Lauren Ashli.
Hi.
Tell them who you are, what you got going on, what everything is about. Let's go.
So, like you said, my name is Lauren Ashli, and I am a producer, and I work in TV and film, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I like to call myself a diversity advocate as well. I really, really advocate for Black people.
Gotcha.
And the people of color. So that's who I am. Born in '94, born and raised in Atlanta.
Okay. Okay. So how did it start? How did your journey into film and all that get started?
So I actually started off doing kind of what you're doing interviews. I worked for a magazine for a little bit, and I really enjoyed that, but I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my purpose as a creative.
Okay.
And so I took some time, and I was like, okay, God, how do you want me to contribute to this industry? Because I love the entertainment industry. I love TV and film. I love being around creatives. But I didn't feel like I was doing my part. And so I've always been a writer, but I never thought about writing for film or writing for TV. And to make this long story short, one day I was applying for a program, and one of the questions was like, what do you want to be in life? And God just kind of gave me the title producer. I was like, wait, I've never had this before. Like, I've never had this this feeling of certainty before. But the title, like television producer, just kind of sat with me very, very well. And so, taking my experience in journalism, I was like, okay, I think I can do this, because I've networked enough and I've seen what it's like to be in this industry, but to be on the flip side of it, creating stories, creating content that people can watch years down the road. I think that's kind of what inspired me the most, being able to inspire people of color and bring people of color on screen telling stories that are important.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of like me in a nutshell. I started in journalism, and now I'm here.
That's dope. That's dope. So what did you want to be as a kid? Was it always anything in film, TV?
No, I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Wow.
I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much everything that
Total
didn't have to do.
Fields,
yeah, I just loved animals as a kid.
Okay.
So I think that's where my parents thought I was gonna go. But I've always been a dancer. I've danced since I was 6, and so when I graduated high school, I kind of got into like acting a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, I saw another side of entertainment that I didn't see before growing up.
Right.
And so I was kind of exposed to TV then. I was like, okay, well, this is dope. Like, I can really leave an impact on people through a camera screen. So that's kind of what transitioned me.
That's dope. So what kind of projects have you worked on? Tell us some of your experience.
Let's see. Well, when I got into production, I graduated college in 2017. And since then, I did some stuff in New York. But then when I came back here, my first TV job was Paternity Court with Judge Lauren Lake. She's a mentor of mine, so she gave me my first TV job. So I worked with her, and then I moved on to Couples Court under the same network. I did some stuff with Fox. I did some stuff with BET, American Soul. And now I'm working for Black Lightning on the CW and not 20th Century Fox, but Warner Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that with the whole new social media age and people actually becoming not superstars, but their own personalities, like them doing it themselves, like actually pulling out their phone and boom, they're in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that would take away from your industry at all?
Like, okay, let me make sure I'm understanding the question. So them creating their own content on cell phones for Instagram, does that take away from the TV and film industry? Is that the question?
Kind of, sort of. So like, do you think that's an expedited step into TV and film rather than the traditional way that people had to do it? Like they had to know somebody, they had to be in the room, they had to, you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, because I think I also have a lot of friends who are actors, and sometimes I hear things from them and they say things like, it's not fair how like you see social media influencers getting roles on TV shows that they've probably been training for their whole lives, but they still haven't gotten that audition, or they didn't book the show because they don't have millions of followers on Instagram. So I think we're just in a day and age where social media is important, because everybody's wants people who are part of projects who have large audiences, because then that attracts more viewers and it helps with the ratings. But I don't know if it hurts it. I know for me, on the back end working in production, it doesn't, because production is a skill. Not saying that acting isn't a skill, but it's a different type of skill where like you have to put your head down, you have to really do the work, you have to really know the industry. So me knowing how to record an Instagram video isn't necessarily going to help me with knowing how to, I don't know, like go through
lighting,
lighting, or like
stuff.
even because like what I do, I don't touch equipment. That's the production crew. I do more of like, I handle contracts and paperwork. I work under the producers on the show, so I do a lot of the logistics side of the TV show, but Instagram doesn't help me with that. So that's a whole other skill, you know? So I can make videos on Instagram, but then I have to make sure I'm also educating myself on how to be a successful, I guess, professional.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha. That makes sense. Like when you have to separate, you got to get away from everybody. What do you do?
It's lonely. It's lonely. But I have like a really good group of friends where we are all able to work together. We're all very, very transparent with one another. And even when I do feel lonely, I know that I'm not realistically, I'll still feel lonely, but I know that I'll have to sometimes snap myself out of it, because it's like you do have a really good support system. But I mean, aside from being lonely, you have to be very focused, like very, very focused on what it is that you want to do, very focused, very specific, and very intentional. Like you can't let outside distractions influence you. Like you go into a party, I don't go out on the weekends. I don't, because I'm working a 12-hour job. And then I know that any free time I have either goes into my business or my nonprofit or me as a person. And so you have to learn how to prioritize and realize that the party is going to be there later. You know, the relationships are going to be there later. But what do you want in life first? And you have to know that there's a time for everything. And let's say, I don't know, like a lot of people are focusing on relationships. Yeah, I would love to be in a relationship, but I know that I got years to live. But my career is right now, you know?
Most definitely.
So I don't know. That's another thing, just prioritizing.
Did you learn that when you started to get into this? Did you learn that earlier on in life?
The relationship thing?
So the fact that you actually got to just put things to the side and prioritize what you're trying to do.
I kind of learned it earlier in life, looking back, but when I was growing up, I didn't realize I was learning it. So going back to, I used to be a dancer. My dance schedule was freaking hectic. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was in dance classes. Saturday morning, I was in dance class from like 9 up until like 10 o'clock at night. So I grew up knowing that I had to, like learning that I had to prioritize. I was always in the dance studio. So me growing up, being intentional with my desire to be a trained dancer kind of transferred over into my adulthood.
Makes sense. Let's talk about this nonprofit you got going on. Even though you got that 12-hour-a-day work schedule, you still got to make time to do stuff for yourself and what you got going on. Tell us about the nonprofit.
So the nonprofit is called Dynasty, the Next Generation of Women. And that organization is so special to me because I created it at a point in my life where I was very, very low. I was going through a depression, kind of felt some anxiety at that point in my life as well. But I've always had the desire to help other people and educate other people. And so Dynasty came out of that part of my life. And today, we work in the community. I know you were talking about, you did a turkey drive. We just did a blanket drive.
Okay.
We do it every year. This was our 4th year doing it,
Okay.
where we serve the homeless in Atlanta. But then on the flip side, we also, for me, it's very, very important that I'm educating my peers on like Black history. So we do a lot of things and talk about a lot of things that involve where we come from as a people, where we're going, influential people, like talk to city councilmen, things like that, like things that matter.
Yeah.
That's really, really important to me. So that's Dynasty, and basically we're just a group of women, and Dynasty, the next generation of women, that comes from us coming together and working together to become what like a Michelle Obama of our generation would be, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the intention behind that was. I just wanted to be able to form a group of women who are powerful and doing powerful things that are going to leave a mark for generations to come.
That's definitely powerful.
So,
That's definitely
yeah.
powerful. So what's the other thing you got going on? So not only a nonprofit, it's a business as well. What's the name of that? Tell us about it. You got a lot of stuff going on.
I know. I don't function well if I don't have things going on.
Me too. I'm the same way.
Yeah, what's your horoscope?
I'm a Taurus.
Okay, my birth's a Taurus. I'm a Virgo. So.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta have a lot of stuff going.
Yeah.
Like I got a landscaping company. That's a plug, and then I'm just
You're
getting into
versatile.
real estate too.
Oh,
So I got
wow.
3 different things going on too.
That's dope.
At all, I gotta have. And then so when I was in the streets, I always had 3 different things going on. I sold crack, weed, and pills.
Jesus.
So it's all, to me, it's all the same thing. Like it's a hustle. But this one is legit. Yeah, this one is legit.
Oh my gosh.
But back to you.
That's
we got
freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
You're funny. What was the question? Oh, my company.
The company. Let's go. Get into it.
So the company is called BWBM Network, and BWBM stands for Black Women, Black Men. I love our people.
Yeah,
like
I see.
Black, yes. But the BWBM Network is basically a production company, and we create scripted and non-scripted content that tells the stories of us in a non-stereotypical way. So I truly believe that sometimes when you see us on television, like you get into these stereotypes and these stories that it's like, it's so fabricated and it's not real. And I think people forget that, yes, we want to see representation, but I think people try so hard to make these big outlandish stories, and it's like, okay, well dang, like we're still humans, like we still have feelings, we still have emotions, we still have like blood running, like we're human, you know? And so I wanted to create a company where we could tell those stories of us just being human, us just having relationships with people, and us not being gang members and, you know, hoes in the streets and, you know, and baby mamas, even though that is some people's reality. That's not everybody's reality.
It doesn't have to be the outcome.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not going to stray away from those stories because a lot of people can relate to the streets. Some people can relate to being in the hood. But I think it's important that we also show, like, in those settings, there are people who feel things, you know? Like, let's not focus on the hood. Let's not focus on the drugs. Let's focus on why they're doing drugs. Kind of like we're doing now, sitting here having a conversation about important topics that I feel like we don't talk about as a generation, from politics to, I don't know, relationship stuff, things in culture. And then we have our film that we just did. It was our very, very first film called Watercolor.
Okay.
How long was it? It's 27 minutes, so it's a short film.
Yeah.
I was the executive producer, and then I have three other producers, and then our director and a writer and our whole production team. And we filmed it in 2 days. It was an experience, but it was a great turnout.
2 days.
We filmed it in 2 days.
Wow.
It was dope. We were in production we started writing, I think, like in October, and then we filmed in December, I think. No, when did we film? I don't know. We did it in like 3 months.
Word.
Yeah.
That's tough. So how was the responses back from it? People liked it? People get y'all good reviews and stuff?
I would think so.
I'm gonna check it out as soon as we get it.
Where it's actually dropping on the internet on February 1st.
Okay.
So we've been kind of keeping it.
Corner.
Yeah, it's next weekend.
Next week.
So I'm kind of anxious about that because we've been keeping it very secret and very private. Well, not secret, but private and exclusive.
Yeah.
But we decided as a team to let it, be released to the world so that people can see what we do, and hopefully we can grow our team and grow a stronger support system.
Most definitely, most definitely. That's dope. That's dope. Well, tell them all your Instagrams. You got a lot. Tell them what you got.
Okay, so my Instagram is Lauren.Ashli, ASHLI. My parents were very fancy with that.
I see.
It's not spelled EY, it's I. So Lauren.Ashli, and then my Twitter is Miss Lauren Ashli, MS. Lauren Ashli, no underscores, and I think that's it.
The nonprofit jump.
Oh, Dynasty and BWBM. Thank you so much.
Don't worry, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Dynasty. Dynasty's Instagram is @Dynasty_DYNASTY, and then BWBM's Instagram is BWBM Network.
Yeah, so you heard it all here, man. That's a plug of Lauren Ashli with an I, not an EY.
Period.
Right. Period. You know what I'm saying? Check her out. We appreciate you for coming out.
Oh, no, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? We got to make this happen more often because, like you said, we got to tell our stories.
Right.
And it has to come from us, and it has to come genuine and legit.
Right.
So
and then on top
you.
of that, just like us as people of color working together and talking and sharing experiences, I think.
We're going to end it on that point.
Yeah.
Why the hell do you think, right? Why do you think that it's so hard for us to work together? That's not all of us, though. It's not all of us,
people
but
are greedy. Like, I'm really big on collaborating,
Yeah.
and I understand that, we gotta get a check. Like, I get that. But in order to build a strong community, we have to be able to, like, link arms with people and work and hold hands and work together, just like keeping a bigger picture in mind. But I don't know why it's so hard. I think people get into the idea of elevating themselves or like being that person with
They wanna
the
be
goals.
The boss.
Like,
Everybody
yeah,
wanna
like
be the
everybody
boss.
wants to be making all, these stacks of money, and everybody wants to, have all the likes on Instagram. And I think that's cool and all, but it's like, why are you doing what are you doing? And I think once you realize and try and figure out and understand your intentions and your meaning behind what you do, then all of that goes away.
Most definitely.
So I think it's just important to focus on the bigger picture and the community, and realizing that it's bigger than us.
Yeah.
Because when you start thinking it, or when you don't think about it, I think that's when people get big-headed, and it's like, nah, bro, where's my check? Where's,
Right.
Yeah. And you don't want to collaborate with people, but that's not us.
Gotcha.
That's not us.
Gotcha. There it is. There it is.
Thank you so much. That's a plug.
There it is. Thank you, man. That was dope.
Thank you so much. I like talking with you. You're like